But you know, we were at a point where it's like, I just need this. I just need to be healed. And
funerals are more expensive.
Yeah, and
I said I would have paid $1 million for you to be well. Not that we ever had anything,
and not
like
that it costs us that much, but
that's what I would have.
So we did that, and the results were insane. Literally 3 weeks later, I was an entirely different person.
Wow.
To the point that Tanya is writing a book at the moment called "I Got a New Husband in 3 weeks."
That's so good. As soon as that's available, we'll let our viewers, watchers, listeners get the link for that.
And it was just a 360-degree turn. But it wasn't just that what I was going through got reversed or healed. I was an entirely different human being. I was still Dino, but all of a sudden the sharp acerbic edges were gone. In fact, you spent a month walking around the house going,
Who are you?
Who are you? You know, I'm excited. You know, this husband has finally
Super
arrived
excited.
in my life. But you know,
this man I always knew you could be.
Yeah, and you know, and most people who knew me would go, "Oh, Dean's a good guy," you know. And it's interesting.
I knew you long before this.
Yeah,
and I liked who I knew.
And it's interesting. I heard someone recently say that, you know, most pastors, leaders, bosses. You know, ultimately, as we grow older and older and older, that we discover that the tools we use to get out of life what we need are often control, rules, and fear. And you think of some of the churches that we know around the country. You know, their pastors: control, rules, fear. Bosses: control, rules, fear. Governments: controls, rules, fear. Well, I'm not sure, and I've surveyed this with a few people. I probably didn't pastor like that, but I fathered like that, and I husbanded like that.
I can relate.
And you know, and that fun, happy-go-lucky guy that a lot of people saw wasn't necessarily. That's not the father my kids saw. You know, an angry dad, and so all of a sudden those edges were gone, and it was childhood trauma. Little T trauma, possibly some big T trauma. In my case, and we've got an adult audience here, so we'll talk freely about it. But you know, my father was a pedophile. I have no memory of being abused by him. But I remember the day. This was before I had this crash. But I remember the day he said, "You know, you've told me 7 things that strongly suggest to me you were probably sexually abused."
Really?
So you know. It was quite overwhelming. I remember a school chaplain friend saying to me,
"That's
if you were a kid in my school presenting with those things, then that would be red flag."
That's incredibly confronting to have someone tell you, especially when you have zero memory of it, because you have zero memory.
And it was very confronting. And actually, I remember for a whole week I just went around going, "I'm a survivor. What?" It did my head in for a while, but. So that was how we kind of, I guess, you know, came into this place of being trauma therapists and so forth.